In our last video, we went over the DEWALT 12-gallon Stealthsonic and compared it to the DEWALT 9-gallon Stealthsonic, basically saying we needed a bit of a smaller vacuum to fit into different areas. It was really the hose, which we came to a conclusion you could have just switched hoses if you wanted, kept the 12-gallon. It's all kind of what fits with you. But there was a commenter in that video that said, hey, I'd like to hear this against some other vacuums. And I thought, well, I can do that because I've got a few too many. I don't have every brand here. It's not going to be completely scientific because in some ways, like this Milwaukee has almost a 16-foot hose compared to some of the other ones that might have closer to a 6-foot hose. But we're going to go through, give you the best comparison that we can so you as a consumer can go out and say, okay, this is what I'm looking at, this is what I'm going for. And obviously, low end here, we have a $119 9-gallon DEWALT Stealthsonic vacuum, all the way up to this is the corded Milwaukee, so you kind of have to build that on your own. Plus you have the battery operated one, which could be $600 in total. So there is a price range here that's crazy, but we'll give you the decibels. We'll put a water test to them. We'll kind of give you the specs. Let's get after it. For this test, we are going to use a free app called Sound Meter. You can download it. This is on an Android phone. When I stop talking here, this should go down in the mid-20s. Okay, now let's turn on our workshop vac. This is made by Emerson. This is a 6.5 horsepower vacuum, so it's a little bit more horsepower than the DEWALT. Emerson is rigid, so if you're looking at the rigid vacs, same thing. So we're 5 feet away, 72 decibels. Same test, we're going to use the Milwaukee 6.5 horsepower AC power head. Not bad, that's 69 decibels. We move away 5 feet. 68, 69. All right, here is the DEWALT Stealthsonic 12-gallon. (61 or 62 decibels there. Here we are 5 feet away. Now we have the Milwaukee dual battery, and we're going to put this guy on high. It seems only fair. (71 to 73 decibels. Now we'll come up 5 feet away. Last but probably not least, as far as noise goes, Stealthsonic 9-gallon. (62 to 64 decibels. Go 5 feet away. The first water test could be a bit unfair, and I want to do it this way just to kind of give us a comparison. We're going to look at the Milwaukee 6.5 AC against the workshop vac or Emerson or rigid 6.5 horsepower, and the difference is going to be the hose length. Here we have maybe 5.5, 6 foot on the workshop vac and 16 on the Milwaukee. That could go either way. I would assume, though, it's a hindrance to Milwaukee. But let's fire these bad boys up, see which one finishes first. Milwaukee definitely finished first. Next test is simply interest's sake. How much slower is the smaller Milwaukee dual battery versus the AC Milwaukee with the larger hose? Significantly slower is the battery model. So in my opinion, the show that everyone wants to see, the DEWALT Stealthsonic, which I can still talk to without issue, 5 horsepower. Here's the Milwaukee. Significantly louder. I expect this to really rock it out here, but let's see. Did not expect that in the least. A higher horsepower, but longer hose. I think that comes into play when we're looking at what's going on. This longer hose probably restricts it from maybe all the suction it could get, adds a little bit in there, you go at it. I am surprised. I did not expect that in the least. In fact, let's do it again. All right, take 2. Another thing, there could be a significant amount of water in the hose, but sure doesn't feel like it. Let's give the Milwaukee a second to just clear itself out. Turn on the DEWALT, you hardly even know you turned it on. Okay, here we go, take 2. That was much closer. Much, much more close, which still shouldn't be, but these two are very, very, very similar, and maybe it's the longer hose, maybe it was the water in the hose, maybe it's just the test. It's interesting, to say the least, that these two vacuums are very, very similar. In the last video, we proved that the DEWALT 12-gallon is faster at taking water on than the DEWALT 9-gallon Stealthsonic. It just is a hose size, volume, whatever it is. So this should not be a comparison. We're still going to go up against the corded Milwaukee, and let's see how it goes. Significant difference, as we would expect. So at the end of the day, what did we prove? 1, I do have white walls in this shop, just don't show you them all the time, and I hope you don't mind the OSB. 2, these vacuums all are really mild to wild as far as noise. And hearing protection is something that a lot of people don't think about with vacuums. Some do. I've seen that in the comments, and I think that's great, because the consequences of not using hearing protection when you need to, or even are close to need to, can be catastrophic, and you don't want to live that way when you get older. So use hearing protection. 2, there's not much difference between a 5 horsepower DEWALT Stealthsonic and a 6.5 horsepower Milwaukee with a longer hose. That is just baffling to me. It could be the hose. It could be a lot of things. It's not a super scientific test, but at the same point, no matter how you shake it, there's not a whole lot of difference, even probably if you did have the same length hose. The Emerson was the loudest. I kind of expected that. It is not the lightest, but it is probably the lighter version of how this all goes through due to its size. The DEWALT Stealthsonics are by far lighter than any of the Milwaukees. The Milwaukees are very, very heavy, as you would expect. They have rollers on the bottom. They have a lot more going with them than just the simple vacuum style of the DEWALT Stealthsonic. Build quality, I'm going to give that to the Milwaukee. They are solid. There is nothing that compares to them as far as build quality. There's nothing that compares to them as far as how the filters go in and out. It is simply awesome how the Milwaukees are built. DEWALT is by far not too much behind. A little bit, they have their little nuances with that, but then again, the filter on the workshop vac, to me, just this rubber plug, it is nowhere near the rest of them. Most of them, all of them, can get HEPA filters, so it comes down to cost. And I know what I use the most, and it's mostly, I use this battery operated one a lot. It is super expensive, but the reason I use it is because I can drag it anywhere. I don't have to plug it in. I can take it outside. I can vacuum a car out quick, and it's done. I don't have to worry about that cord. It's a simple thing, but it is super expensive, so I don't think a lot of people are gonna go that way. These two DEWALT Stealthsonics, $119 for the smaller one, $139 for the larger one. $139 on the larger one, you get a 20-foot cord, you get the bigger hose. You could buy a smaller hose maybe and have you know, $160 wrapped up in it, and you got the best of all worlds, and it is super, super quiet. The smaller one, a little bit more noisy, not much, but at the same point, if just for cars, just for homeowner use, absolutely awesome. Affordable. I think that's what it comes down to when you're looking at homeowner stuff. I'm gonna shut up here and let you guys leave some comments, talk to each other, ask each other questions, figure this stuff out. I'll put some links into all this stuff in the bottom. Just enjoy yourself. Let me know what you guys would purchase, or if you are gonna purchase something, it's always cool to hear what you did purchase. As always, I appreciate your time. Give us a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks again. Have a great day.